Lost last sun. You burn dim. Lonely light fading. Swallowing yourself in a final pitiful gasp. What of your 3 solar siblings? When did they meet their end? A tale of the God-Killer. Ever heard of her? No? Well, consider yourselves lucky. Or cursed, I suppose. But I warn you, her tale is jagged and brutal. Wars erupted, cataclysms shook the heavens. Gods clashed in sky-rending fury, their blood seeping into the soil. Kingdoms burned, rose and fell, all on the whims of their divine protectors. Something stirred awake in this place. The refuse that is left clings to life in this cesspool, all barely human. There stumbles such a vermin now, starved of care to even cry out against the festering rage of the drunk. Oh, rent apart was the veil and deafeningly torn by the cry, a cry of crows. And there she was, not of this place nor any place, a presence that screamed of danger, fear that sank like iron claws into the soul. Like some wild force of nature laid bare, a freakish form of blood and animalistic splendor washed red. But she is no beast of nature. She was something else entirely. Worn trinkets, faded talismans, a name carved upon them. Vaika. Wings holding the weight of God-lost accursed decay. Years had passed. Not one of them had seen her, but blindly they waited. Chanted her name like it could save them, desperation masquerading as faith. Very still she remained, not noticing the congregation, nor their startled cries. Waiting perhaps, or allowing herself to be witnessed. She returned again and again, each time closer, slipping down from her perch. Closer, lower, still distant, still unreadable. Then, as always, some unseen force tugged, a world beyond reclaiming her, wrenching her away at its whim. Gone as quick as she came. The danger present, her ire uncontained. The common man was to be kept at bay. Let me tell you, it wasn't some tender healing kiss. It was all fangs and fury. A holy moment? No. More like a bloody baptism. That's the price of begging a monster to wear a halo. The goddess they had adored was gone, replaced by something dark and primal, an untouchable beast. The truth, it now stained her. With Knight General and battle-hardened army in tow, the king stormed the high temple, mighty kingdom against feeble walls, his iron fist tearing down a meek and lazy church's defense, demanding to confront the so-called God Edge, guarding the retreat now lost for his brethren and liege, last to mark the sickening thuds, grim tearing, life weakly leaking from beyond the divide. Only his own dumbfounded screams could the High Bishop hear, ears ringing with his own wretched cries, not smelling the burning flesh from atop his grand viewpoint, his great kingdom ablaze. Pathetic, dumbfounded with rage, the bishop took a moment before alighting his gaze. For it was Vaika, walking out slowly, calmly, for the first time leaving her cloistered abode, down the stairs from the high temple to the city streets, through smoke and ash, entering the fray. Helm down, head forward, a ballistic force of nature. Penetrated clear through that war god's head. Barely a fight, one move felled the chess piece. Match won, God undone. Its dark blood rained upon the remaining forces, their souls marked for Vaika to reap. So a dark whisper, like a devil on his shoulder, spoke to the bishop of a plan, priestess of satanic employ, a dark mistress of suffering, offered her skill, a cursed and black ritual to ensnare their wayward weapon. Hidden marksmen aligned the god, their target in sight. They fired. Every shot was unloaded. Golden blood burst from wounds. Vaika fell to her knee, horribly injured, hooked, tethered, encircled by sigil. The hundreds of gallons of blood price was paid, the ritual magic held, and the immortal prize was theirs. To wield and to enslave as their holy orders see fit. Barbed, impaled flesh still, shackled as a prisoner, dragged and propped inside, captive in her own temple, caged beast, leashed to an evil will. Decades of evil committed on her and in her name, force-fed innocent meat to fuel her rage. Every high god and neighboring kingdom fell to her flames, a nuclear inferno wielded from range. Heavenly black spires called down from above, an absolute destruction this man-made monster waged. That sweet retribution you wanted, dear listener, it came. What happened thenforth, only I can retell, as with that final judgment handed to that foul mortal was enacted, ignited a deep source of destruction on that last day. That bore down a cataclysmic, searing white hot fire on every person near. Entire temple, the whole kingdom, its people, scorched into black abyss of nothing, erased. Through dust and smoking embers, nothing but ruin remained. Combustion of flame lashed out of her, body harmed, but still she was chained. Her prison crumbled, collapsed walls surrounding this dead place. Sigil barely powered, but her bindings held still, even after her violent outburst. Alone and betrayed, no thought, no will left, but to wait out her days. Centuries, millennia could have passed, it's hard to say, but her solitude was broken, never to stay that way. For alighted those pesky critters upon a deathly wind, blown in from beyond, nearly corporeal and solid. Strange voidling shadowed things, edging ever nearer. Was it her mind playing tricks, or had her sanity finally shattered? Even through eons, none could leave such a creature as Vaika untouched. Her legend crossed plains and vales, leapt across the immortal divide. A Valkyrian huntress sent to seek the sin-eating deity and god-killer. She offered a choice, made clear in front of the face of this lowered and bound monster. You will fight for her cause or die. Vaika the unholy abomination, freak, inhuman, heretical false divine, unworthy of life, unfit to survive. Sadness, or maybe empathy, was all the winged warrior could spare. This fearsome being of legend, whose death warrant she was to enact, seemed pitiable and worthless, a wasted errand to even offer this pact. But one final revelation did Vaika have to impart, one which altered the tale, for one smart enough could have puzzled from the start. And even the Valkyrie sensed that intention. That instinct caught her only just a little slowly, till now, but her senses were keen, as the last farce was laid bare. They called her God Queen, Crow's sainted savior, lost and abandoned through time. That name, it was man that had given it, not one that she claimed. She was never there. Vaika twice returned to their aid. That long-held truth was writ plain on her face. None could have even chained this false god thing, this eldritch entity. For since mortals had known her, she had always been free. Like a mosaic of memories no mere mortal could ever see. Here in this place, between the veil and world that Vaika tread, otherworldly planes of existence, her nest, her natural environment. She fell out her portal, pulled after eons of absence, now returned. It might have seemed alien at first, but an innate awareness stirred. A familiar sky, an ashen-strewn wasteland, cradle of her origin. Then a horrid roar on the wind reverberated through bone up her very spine. An instinctive wariness slowly pulling back the god thing's mind. It had always been the two of them, created for no purpose, no reason, just placed in each other's path. Watching, hunting as always, an abomination of filth, rotted black misery stood out on a cliff, waiting out the return of the other, hungry, demanding hold. Flames of Vaika's wrath burned from her inner core, violent bloodlust and feral madness willing her to engage. Black wave of fire she conjured. The battle owned her, instinct and fury guiding each strike. Something immediately was amiss. This endless dance of battles the two entities knew was not flowing in step. Fire was weaker, not even leaving a mark. It's not over. Brands holding back her true form, unsealed. Painfully, every last thing she had left inside. Not a crow, not an angel, just one final self-sacrificing glory, burning forth on fierce wings. Taking her from this world and its fire, and that hell-spawned monster with it. Vaika was fallen. Deity near death, sped out, used up and broken. Life leaking out slowly upon the sand. Might have been the immortal god's end, if it weren't for a sound. Ringing bells from the ether. Never before had this turn of fortune's wheel been granted to the God-Killer. A new page in her destined story. A gathering of many, newly entering this unknown world. Not belonging, not bound by its will. Brought in the nick of time by one other. A higher power, a celestial being of a mighty order, poised in the air. Not of this world or any. Unimaginable power contained in a delicate eternal. The final sight Vaika could see was the departure of her savior, and one last gift they left behind. All those who followed the Great One's lead had been given over. Familiar creatures, no longer shadows, now whole. Tiny little saviors grabbing a hold to drag away their unconscious and broken ward as charged to safety. And where did they take Vaika? A strange corner of these harsh dead plains. A mishmash of realms and memories. Times past, converging into a singular point. Safety and respite, a secluded shelter. The remnants of fierce fire and battle, covered with ash, now a home. Vaika awoke. What was broken by the beast was healed. Even brands of old were gone.
Yet not all scars were erased, and here were those small creatures, bonded together now against this alien world, playing and crawling around her. She watched. Days passed where she learned from them, and she started to feel, at first foreign and strange, the stir of something. Maybe she wasn't all inhuman. But safety in this world was far from guaranteed. Its harsh reality was as clear as the shattering howl heard far in the distance. Vaika would always be under threat from endless battles. Within her now grew something new, a fresh purpose and will. And in her palm, she now held those she wished to protect. Together with her gifted brethren, now unalone, the false goddess whose true name was unknown, now had reason to keep on living. She wasn't a saint or savior. No more of mankind's wars was she required to fight. All she needed to do now was to learn how to feel, just to be, to survive. So, now I bet you're asking, before we run out of time, how did we get here in this place, this abrupt collapse of all? Now why would I spoil that? It's not a story for me to tell, stranger. If you want to know the reason for this long God-killer's tale, how I knew her, what actions brought about this end time, death of 4 suns burning out all the worlds and creation, well, you will just have to stick with Vaika. Tie your fate to a feral deity and see.